So this is chapter 14, as I said, is a continuation of communication decisions. It's the second part. And we continue with sales promotions. So sales promotions, we all have experience. We experience them every day. So they basically are any paid consumer or trade communication program with certain limited duration that adds tangible value to a product or brand. They could be, we have to differentiate price versus non-price promotion. So in other words, not every sales promotion is about lower prices, for example, and also consumer versus trade promotions. In any case, but the sales promotion needs to provide a very tangible incentive to buyers. In some cases, it's about it's about motivating the buyer to take action, and in some cases, this is because, for example, if we give an opportunity to test a product, this reduces the perceived risk associated with purchasing a product. So it gives an opportunity without any risk for the customer to try the product. It can also provide accountability for communications activity, and it could be also a method for collecting additional data for our databases. As in the other aspects of marketing we discussed so far, one of the questions we face is should the company, the level and type of involvement of the company headquarters in sales promotions. So there are, as in other aspects that we've discussed, there are both pros and cons in involving, in keeping things focused on and being managed by the company headquarters. So some of the advantages are costs. And in general, the larger the budget, the better the involvement, if it's done smart, of course. Complexity is another challenge. And in general, headquarters have usually better specialists to understand really the complexity. So usually we have better professionals at headquarters than in the local offices. Of course, this is the general principle, but could be different in some cases. Another consideration is the need to have a consistent global brand. So we cannot, if we don't have involvement of the company headquarters, it's very difficult to achieve consistency. And also another consideration is transnational trade. Mergers and acquisitions lead to increased competition in the retail industry, and as the industry globalizes, retailers seek coordinated promotional programs from suppliers. So they prefer, because we're dealing with global retailers, they also prefer global campaigns rather than deciding things market by market. With that said, there are big differences between markets. So for example, countries with lower level of economic development, they would have lower income limits and hence less opportunities for promotion available. Market maturity could be different. Again, we need to understand local perceptions and local regulations, as well as the trade structure of the retail industry. So all these are factors that can affect us. One of the types of sales promotions is sampling. So this provides, as I mentioned before, the consumer with an opportunity to try a product at no cost and no risk. So this is especially for food products. It's a very used method and very successful, especially if we're introducing new products. Couponing is another method. So a coupon is a printed certificate giving the person bearing the with the coupon, a reduction or some other benefit. So far, the practice has been that 90% of such coupons are distributed through inserts in Sunday newspapers, but I think this is changing, and we're seeing more and more digital ways for distributing coupons. You also have on-pack coupons, which are on the package, and you can redeem them at checkout, or in-pack coupons, which you can redeem after you have used the product. There are also cross coupons. So cross coupons is when buying one product gives us coupon to buy another. Again, we need to be aware of country differences. The US, for example, is leading when it comes to such promotion, but many other countries, for example, they're saying here there's a cultural issue that some Asians, for example, would not use coupons as they maybe bring shame on them. So in other words, it culturally, it feels as if using coupon means that you cannot afford something. Well, this completely doesn't exist, for example, in the USA. It's completely, it's almost the opposite. It's a shame not to use promotion, so to say. With coupons, what we need to keep in mind is that big number of coupons are distributed, but only 1% are redeemed. So this is a significant inefficiency that we need to be aware of. As I said, the world of couponing is changing. We now have social couponing. For example, the industry leader in that is Groupon, which is distributing such coupons digitally. And it seems that this is a trend that will continue developing. Now, some of the issues we face when we do sales promotion could be fraud. Fraud here, we mean that the consumers, this specific example with Pepsi is that buyers could see the winning numbers in the Pepsi bottle by kind of shifting the bottle without buying it and without drinking it. So as a result, the campaign totally didn't work out. There could be also different regulations by countries, so we need to be really clear, is this allowed or not? For example, in some countries, coupons are considered type of gambling, so they're forbidden. The next type of communication method we have is personal selling. So personal selling involves person-to-person communication, and this remains to be a major way of how we sell and promote certain products, but this would be more complex products, more technical products, for example, and also products or services where we need to build a long-term relationship. So this is the focus on one side to make a sale, but on the other side to build a relationship with the customer. So for primarily, we're going to see this in industrial products. We are not going to see this for consumer products. It will be ineffective. Again, here we need to be fully aware of all possible selling hurdles. So they could be political, regulatory. So, for example, governments can set up quotas or tariffs, and this can completely affect our work. Currency fluctuation, market unknowns. So these are all things we need to be careful with, and we need to be aware. We need to kind of do our homework in order to avoid problems. There is something also we call strategic consultative selling model. So this is the model used when we are talking of usually business-to-business services, or if it's B2C, business to consumer, it would be for some very complex, very special products. So here we are talking about more complex relationship. So it requires a longer relationship and one big sale, let's say every. It's not like how consumer products are sold. It's a longer period, more rare sales, but bigger sales. So when we're developing this process, things that can influence it is the personal selling philosophy. So how is the specific person implementing it, acting? In general, they need to go into the act of a partner, solver. So they're consultants more than helping the client make a complex decision rather than just trying to sell them something. Although at the end it's about selling, but it just, the philosophy is different and the approach to the client is different. Key part of that is developing relationship strategies. So it's about establishing high quality relationships with prospects and customers that ensure sales over a long period of time, if we're successful, of course. And this requires also a product strategy. So a plan that can assist the sales representative in selecting and positioning products to satisfy customer needs. Also, we need a customer strategy. So usually we have a specific sales representative working with the specific customers over a long-term period to be whose task is to be maximally responsible to their needs. And as part of this model, we need also presentation strategy. So each sale call is an important opportunity to meet the customer and try to close a deal. So every call needs to be call, or it could be meeting, needs to be really with a clear goal, clear presentation plan, and clear plan how we're going to achieve our objectives. So at the end, it's a model which is focused on establishing a partnership to create value based on a high level of ethical standards and these 4 types of strategy, as well as the personal philosophy. So when we make a presentation plan, these are the elements, typical elements of a presentation plan, which, like in any presentation, we need to know how are we closing, like whatever the objective of the presentation is, how are we gonna close it, and also how are we gonna continue to service whatever we have closed, how are we servicing that afterwards. So it's not, we don't look at the presentation and the sale as the end of the process, but more a point in a long-term relationships. So here, I'm not gonna go in all the details here. So each of these segments has its own focus point. And as I said, it finishes with the closing and servicing the sales, like establishing a customer service program, ensuring the satisfaction of the customer, and not just the satisfaction, but the long-term loyalty. Now, another question which we face is, should our sales force be made of expatriates, host country nationals, third country nationals, or other options. Usually expatriates have superior knowledge, so because the fact that we've brought them to work in another country means they're some experts in some areas. So they are usually a great option, but they come with higher costs and also higher turnover because they're not there forever. There are also costs associated with their cultural training. We could use host country nationals, so the advantage is that they would have superior local knowledge and understanding, but they may need more product training, and they may not be as loyal to the company. Plus, sometimes customers don't hold them in as high esteem as an expatriate. We may also have third country nationals. So with the way the world has been globalized, we often have people from all kinds of places working in in companies that are not coming from their host country, or they're also not local professionals. I mean, the bottom line here would be how strong are the advantages versus what are the specific disadvantages we are facing in the specific country. So some of these are general, but some could be very specific. So there could be certain third country nationals completely not suitable to work in a specific market. So we need to be very careful. For example, when we make sometimes people make assumptions, oh, he's European, so he could work in another European market. Sometimes not, sometimes there's actually animosities between neighboring countries, and choosing, thinking that just because they're European it's better could be a mistake. So in addition to using our own sales force, we also have the opportunity to partially or completely outsource this work. So here we have all the different arrangements we've already discussed. There are also a few other special forms of marketing communication. So we have direct marketing, which used to be kind of using the post, today more and more using the internet. We could be sponsoring different events and using all possibilities now on the internet for communication. So I'm not going to go here in all the details of each of these segments. I think some of them are pretty clear. Overall, when we do the direct marketing, the marketer adds value. There's a specific focus on the customer. This is mass marketing, where we usually have a very standardized approach. Here specifically, we're discussing the possibilities of kind of ensuring the sale door to door to the customer versus kind of the more mass marketing approach. Which one we choose really depends on our product and on the market we're servicing. So these are some advices for you as direct marketers. As I mentioned already, we have to be careful with assumptions we make. We need to be much more knowledgeable of local specifics and traditions. For example, as I said, Americans think everybody in Asia is similar, or everybody in Europe is similar, and we know neither of these are true. We can't make any assumptions that things we know from politics or from economic aspects. So we can't make any assumptions that how we do things and what we know in our local countries will be the same. So direct mail, a few more words on direct mail. So basically, direct mail is a vehicle for delivering a personally addressed offer to a prospect targeted by a marketer. So this is popular with banks, for example, insurance companies. It allows building a database. There are also direct mail lists we can rent, but very often the quality is not very high. US, probably the US has most developed direct mail lists. There are also different habits. For example, Germans spend more per capita in mail order shopping, so we need also to be aware of that. Catalogs used to be a very popular way of selling. It continues to be popular in many markets, but it's more and more being exchanged with by the internet. Again, it still continues. Here you see the opinion of some professionals. Basically, they're saying that it will continue to be a selling tool. Catalogs will continue to be selling tools, but they would be more source of information, more counting on the fact that people need to see things when they kind of hold it in their hands. It's still different than looking it on the internet. So it's going to be more a source of information rather than how people buy things. So the buying will be like digital on the internet, while catalogs would be more for visualization. Infomercials and teleshopping are also popular ways of selling. The good thing about them is the product can be demonstrated, explained, and offered for sale to viewers who call on a number on the screen. Usually this is done through emotional selling. So basically they really show us how a product will solve a particular need for us. And usually we're expected to make an immediate emotional sale. That opportunity is further enhanced by interactive television today. So in ITV, for example, allows viewers to interact with the program content they're viewing. So for example, if you have an ad that's going on, you can click on a specific button and you can actually buy a product, for example. So that's definitely has a future. Sponsorship is another way we could promote our products. So it combines elements of both public relations and sales promotions and ensures the company name is mentioned in both printed and on-air announcements, also in news reports, on marketing materials, and so on. So usually this, if we make a good choice, such events draw large crowds. It's also perfect for sampling and other sales promotions. Product placement is putting specific product in the, for example, in a movie, or in a TV show, or celebrity wearing some products. What's important here is that once seen in a movie, we can't really adapt the product to local needs. So this is good only for products that we're going to really have a global strategy for them. Okay, so with this, I'm finished chapter. We're going to talk now about Volkswagen case. Did any of you read the case? No, you didn't have a chance. Okay, so basically, Volkswagen, as we call it here, Dieselgate nightmare, was a big scandal that happened not so long ago. So first of all, Volkswagen is a really big company today. They, in addition to the Volkswagen brand, they include companies like Audi, Bentley, Bugatti, Lamborghini, and Porsche. So they are all brands of the same company, Volkswagen. Also, Skoda and Seat are part of Volkswagen. So obviously a very big company. And the scandal which happened, and was really of epic proportions, is that Volkswagen was caught to put in the diesel engines special software that allowed the vehicles to, basically they were cheating. The cars were showing, when they're being tested, lower level of emissions than the actual ones when the car is performing under normal conditions. So this was a huge scandal that really impacted Volkswagen, and I recommend reading the case because it's a really, it shows the importance of marketing communications, which is exactly what we're studying now, and especially public relations, and how can we really deal with such situation and make sure we don't totally damage the brand, because a scandal like that can completely bring a company down. In the case of Volkswagen, they did a number of things. They were initially trying, what's interesting in this case actually is that in the beginning, Volkswagen said that this is a case concerning just a few engineers who did that, and more and more as the case unfolded, it was clear that this is hundreds of people were involved. It also turned afterwards that other brands in the Volkswagen company have also done similar things. So obviously it wasn't something that, it was part of a big effort. And this effort was partially also due to the pressure which the European Union was putting on reducing of emissions. Of course, this is not justifying their actions, but it just explained why so many people actually got involved in cheating. It was, we couldn't find another way basically to meet the regulations, and they were under the pressure to perform due to increasing competition. Again, this is not justifying, it's just explaining what happened. So they had a number of activities trying to deal with the case. Changes in CEO also. At the end, everything they did costed them $15 billion. So this is, and this is up to the moment when this book was written, this textbook was written. So it's a huge consequences on this company. The latest CEO has really taken a stand to try to demonstrate that Volkswagen now is a brand that takes seriously environmental and sustainability concern, and they're really taking measures also to improve, to introduce electrical vehicles, to continue expanding with while also continuing to expand with the diesel cars in the meantime, because it will take more years for electric cars really to become dominant on the market. So the question here is, there are a few ethical questions. So first, how do we evaluate Volkswagen's, how do we evaluate the whole scandal and why it happened, and what can be done to prevent such things from happening, but also how did they handle? So what are the marketing activities they did and how well could they have done better. My personal opinion is that they could have taken better responsibility from the very beginning. They tried to do things kind of partially in the beginning, but the scandal kept going bigger and bigger and bigger, which costed them at the end more money. So if they were more determined from the very beginning to admit and take care of things, I think that the total amount spent would have been smaller. Also, an interesting ethical question is, because what they did is they asked all owners of cars which have bought such cars with false devices to actually return the cars, and of course they were offered compensation, but some Volkswagen diesel owners didn't care. They didn't want to go through the process and they just continued to drive their cars. So the question is, what do we think of this ethically? So these car owners knew that their cars have higher emissions than the prescribed by law or by the emissions which, so basically they know they're damaging the environment, but they had no desire to bother returning the vehicles, because really it's, if you're not concerned with the environment, this is only troubles to actually go through procedures, return the car, maybe take another car. So many people didn't bother. Yeah, and the last question we have here is whether we think that Volkswagen can become a leader in electric vehicles, given Tesla's first mover advantage. So these are all very interesting questions, and I welcome you to read the case and think about them. They don't have any easy answers. So it's really about kind of considering the complexity of the situation and thinking what would you do if you're in this different situation also, and depending on what you would do, what does that speak for you and for your approach to ethics and for sustainability. So these are interesting points for self-reflection. I will go now also to the next case. So the next case is about Red Bull. Did anybody read that case? Okay, so Red Bull is a company that everybody knows, I assume. What's interesting, again, I recommend you reading the case because it's an interesting case of a company which created a totally new market. So there was no such thing as energy drinks when they started. So the good example that in many cases, successful approach is not to try to see what customer needs and what, not what they need, but what products they currently use, what are the current markets. But sometimes the most successful strategy is actually to develop a whole new market from the beginning. And they did this extremely successful. So they're, like, you can find them now anywhere in the world. And such as unique approach to the whole business strategy and the whole marketing strategy is also demonstrated through the choice of marketing communication methods. One of the things they did is they advertise Red Bull on so basically they sponsored the Infinity Red Bull Formula One, where was that? Yeah, they sponsored Felix Baumgartner's death-defying skydive from the edge of space. So this is what you see on the pictures. I mean, this is not the only thing we've done. We've also sponsored a lot of different events, but I wanted to focus your attention on that specifically because it was a huge risk they took, because it could have turned into negative publicity. This person did something really and nobody has done before him, and it could be, I mean, it could have gone totally wrong and damaged the brand, but they did take the risk because they felt that this is really going to position them. The brand slogan is Red Bull gives you wings. And this person really flew basically in space, from space. So this was an example of a really, really successful strategy, but also a very high risk situation. So it could have gone wrong. It could have created also negative publicity. Together with other things they do, for example, the Red Bull Music Academy, the Red Bull Bulletin, they really take a different approach to all their marketing, all the ways in which they connect with customers and all the ways in which they demonstrate the value of their brand. So they're a good example of non-traditional ways which have been really successful. But also it's important to say here, not every brand can go, can do this. So this is such non-traditional ways are only possible if the whole brand message is as untraditional as it is for Red Bull. So we're not saying here that what they did is suitable for every brand. Actually, it can damage a more traditional brand, but it definitely worked for them. So that's why a marketing professor here at the London Business School wrote a case study for them, and they called them the anti-brand brand. The reason for this is because they are very untraditional way in which they create their brand strategy and execute it.